Good afternoon. So I'm sitting here on an autumnal Sunday afternoon in the northeast of England. This is my very first video posting to YouTube. I've spent the last 15 years of my life, I'm 43, nearly 44, reading David Icke books. Oh, crikey. I listen to every conspiracy going. The Anunnaki, targeted individuals, clones, reptilians, satanic ritual abuse, everything. Going from A to Z. David Icke, The Leap Project, Kinnigan, Mr. Self-Destruct UK, who always makes me laugh, although he's always dealing with very serious topics. Crikey. Jeff Doherty, Jay Campbell, Derek Boyce, all of these conspiracy theory channels. I do a lot of reading around a lot of the topics. And I'm quite sort of bright in that respect. I like to know everything that there is to know about something. But something this morning's really hit me, and it's over the last 15 years, absolutely. I have had my eyes opened, and I've had personal experiences with certain things that are termed conspiracy theories by some, which maybe I'll go into in later videos. But this morning, as I say, I've had my eyes opened. I live in the northeast of England, in a very deprived town, where I think now about 43% of children, there's about 90 to 100,000 people in the town, and about 43% of children live below the poverty line. I'm a single parent. I used to have quite a good job and earn quite a lot of money, but unfortunately, after the birth of my son, that went. So I live in an area it's an estate, traditionally a council estate. So we still have a mix of council, people who rent from the council, people who rent privately, and then obviously people who have bought their homes. So it's a very mixed bag, very typical sort of council estate in the way that it's built. A lot of sort of alleyways and fronts, your back doors are generally your front doors, and all these sorts of things, and there's a lot of deprivation here. As a result of that, the crime rate's quite high, sort of petty crime is quite high here. We're seeing increasingly more and more drug use, kids on bikes, delivering drugs, all those sorts of things. And I have one particular child who comes quite often to see us here. He lives just down the road in the same estate, and he's 12, and he goes to the local secondary school, so he's in what I would class as second year senior, or year 8 as it is now. And he came this morning. He was due last night to stay at a friend's house for a sleepover, and they were all out and they were smoking spice, skunk, so he says, but I think sometimes they don't always know the difference. Taking ease and knocking what they call blues into them, which are diazepam. And it just really, really struck me that how hard it is for him he left sort of the party, if you like, after not getting involved in it. I know he's smoking cigarettes, he's 12. But he comes and talks to me. This came and talked to me this morning, and we had a very open, I didn't tell him off, or we just had a very open and honest and frank discussion about drugs, about the types of drugs that they're using, about the adverse effects of the drugs, about how their brains are still developing. At 12, they shouldn't have these things in their system. It's one thing, you know, when you're in your 20s and you go to Glastonbury or you go to a rave and you decide you're with all your mates and you pop an A. I'm still not saying that's right, but it's different. You're making an adult informed decision and you're taking that specific drug for sort of a bit more what it was intended for, even though I don't agree with them. But now, it just really, really struck me this morning that it doesn't matter whether whether we were an advanced civilization before the Great Flood, and then we went back to rubbing sticks together after that due to some intervention by some reptilian race who lives inside the moon. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether Tupac's alive and well in Cuba. It doesn't matter whether the Hollywood elite are cloning people. It doesn't matter. None of it matters. It doesn't matter where we came from. It doesn't matter whether there's aliens in the large scheme of things. I've spent 15 years looking at all of these things, and actually, I'm sorry it looks warm, but it isn't. I shall just close my curtain. It doesn't matter. What matters is the fact that, as somebody like David Icke says, and is so plain and so clear and so obvious, that they are targeting our children. They are targeting our children. Every game is killing and shooting and murdering and bludgeoning to death. I've had another text message this week from school wanting my son, my 6-year-old son, to have a flu vaccination, which last year made him so ill and gave him a 6-month allergy to dairy, because the stuff that they inoculate them with, which is a spray up their nose, is actually grown on eggs. So my son had an allergy. He was poorly for 3.5 months after he'd had that flu vaccination last year. He's not having it. I took him to our dentist at the start of September. He's 6. For me to be given another appointment in October to have fluoride painted on his teeth, when he already has fluoride in his water, which is poison, and he has fluoride in his toothpaste, which is poison. And for some silly 28-year-old who's been at university and knows no better, and don't come back to me, I spent 10 years of my life at university. I have higher degrees. So nobody come back to me with that one, because it ain't washing. It's nothing to do with sour grapes over people going to university or not. But she hasn't even got this to turn round at 28 or 30 and say to me, well, the government says it's a guideline and we have to do it. She's so stupid and brainwashed that she hasn't even read around the topic of fluoride. She's just quoting what she's being told to say. Now, my issue is that as a mother of a 6-year-old, what is going to be happening when my son's 12? And how as a parent can you sit and wax lyrical about how dangerous these substances are, and for your children to believe you and to understand you, and then tomorrow morning to send them back into that environment around other children who are doing those things because their parents are doing it too, and expect your 12-year-old to have the strength of personality that they need to be able to say no. So I don't give a stuff about Anunnaki anymore. What's happening, this conspiracy is happening on my doorstep, on my estate, in my town. And I will do what I can do to stop it. We can't rely on the government. We know what the previous governments have been like. Ted Heath, Cyril Smith, Theresa May. We know. We can't put any faith in our governmental institution to look after our children. We have to do it ourselves. And it is time that we all stopped thinking that life is one great party, that we can take what we want when we want without any consequences, and allow our children to see it happening. You are wrecking your kids' lives. It is dangerous. Look at all the man-made chemicals that are coming out now. When I was growing up, there was a bit of weed about, acid. And look at what kids today are trying to deal with. Kids are being excluded because they're taking knives into school, dealing in the playground. This is what we're dealing with, and this is what has to stop. And I am going to do my utmost to make sure that I stop it.